Good morning and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus today is on Centers for Independence. It's an organization that's been around for more than 80 years, and they truly do strengthen the community by fostering hope and helping people advance their total health, especially those who deal with disabilities. And here to talk more about the organization is a man who works very closely with the mission of the organization, Alvin Hill. He's the Senior Director of Diversity and Cultural Competence. How are you, Alvin?
I'm fine, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here today. Now, I've already mentioned that Centers for Independence has been around for more than 80 years, but please tell us more about the work that you do to help make a difference in the lives of people each and every day.
Sure. Our organization, as you say, has been around for 80 years, and originally our organization was founded to assist Jewish immigrants with finding an employee when we were the Jewish Vocational Center. But we have migrated into the organization that we are, starting in the early 50s, to working with people with disabilities, basically trying to help them to work and live better in the community. However, our mission has evolved over the years from just centering around persons with disabilities to centering around the total health of people, which you did read eloquently in our mission statement. And what we mean by that is we want to be able to, as an example, expand what the definition of disability is. So we look at anything that might be a barrier, such as we do help people find gainful employment. Basically, we do work with people with disabilities, but that's a barrier on trying to, try to find employment, whether you have a disability or not. So we do that through a variety of programs within our organization. We have our behavioral health part of our organization, which is called Whole Health Clinical Group. We also, in our life services, work with people who've had brain injury and persons with disabilities. We draw people into our facility each and every day that we serve with those particular developmental issues. We also, as an organization, are a little bit more diverse than people think. We also have our MCFI home care, which also we put people in places' homes to help them live independently in their homes so they don't have to go into a care facility. So we do that throughout Wisconsin, placing caregivers in homes. So I just wanted to emphasize the breadth and depth of the clients that we serve, which reflect more than what our name might say.
Yeah, and that's really why it's important to have you here, because you have so many programs and services as well as resources that you can offer to individuals who are in need of the work you do. So one thing that really stands out is the fact that you are helping people who are dealing with mental health. And we look at this pandemic that's been going on for over 2 years now, and people have been affected on many different levels. Can you talk a little bit about the services that you offer as far as someone needing just someone to talk to, or maybe even finding out what they need to do in order to get some help?
Well, I think you're speaking to our whole health group. And certainly we are one of the largest providers in behavioral health services in the county of Milwaukee. And when we do that, using our care coordinators, using our case management study, and we also with our clinicians. So really, when we talk about advancing a person's total health and integrating health care and social services, they really are our model that really have started that out for us, because you're able to come in there and let's just say you have a behavioral health situation that you want to come in for and see either our case manager or our clinicians. You can certainly do that. And then, so now let's just say, for instance, when we talk about that's your total health, let's just say you have let's just pick out a smoking addiction as an example. So instead of, referring you out of our organization, we can, with our clinicians, be able to treat your, work with your total health. And that's what we mean by that. Also, with our behavioral health, we also have our own pharmacy as well, too, and our own in-house pharmacy. So that's, really, it's a wraparound service that we can really offer the person who is in need of that service. And one thing people don't know we have also is we have, let's see what now, 4 crisis resource centers throughout Milwaukee area, one on the south side and three on the north side now. And basically, these are services that persons can drop in for receiving services that, it would help rather than have intervention with the law. So it's a service they can come into and receive help. We also have we also have group homes out in the community as well. Now that's not necessarily all that are attached to behavioral health, but we also offer those services. So we're right in the community as well too, as well as at our campus where Whole Health is located.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned the pandemic and how it has affected everyone on some level or another. And so, like many other businesses, Centers for Independence has been impacted by the labor shortage. So you've got a lot of job openings that people can take advantage of as well, right?
That is absolutely true. All of us have come underneath and felt the impact of what it's done. Mm-hmm. But we certainly have many opportunities within our organization. And one thing, because I work very closely with this, you're going to be coming and working for an organization that values diversity and inclusion. So when we talk about an inclusive culture, that takes into effect the things that our staff have encountered during the pandemic. And working with that and understanding with that. And so that's where our trauma-informed care philosophy comes in as well, too, which basically says not what's wrong with you, but what happened. And so with that approach, I think it's a nice culture for persons that are looking for employment opportunities to come within our organization. And so I feel very proud that persons that are interested in gainful employment, that in coming to an organization like us, they'll really love our inclusive culture where you can come and bring your best self to work.
Sounds good. And of course, you do have a website and a phone number where people can call to get more information. So if you could share that with us, and we'll continue kind of focusing on the job opportunities that you have open. But the phone number there?
414-937-2020. Our website, mcfihope.org.
All right, and I'll repeat those. The phone number is 414-937-2020, and the web address is cfihope.org. Now, we were talking about just these job opportunities that are open, and specifically your behavioral health programs are in need of committed and caring people to support people with mental illness by helping them manage their symptoms and coordinate their care. So if you'd like to kind of talk a little bit more about that.
Well, there are a diversity of jobs. They range from persons to help us. I think I referred to our care facilities that we have out in the community, our group homes, excuse me. We certainly have what's called behavioral health technicians. We certainly always have a need for those that are working closely with our clients that are there. And so that is one. We're also, we always are looking at professional in the professional ranks as well too. I don't have the list in front of me as far as the exact openings, but those that are in the professional ranks as well too. So there's a diversity of jobs within our behavioral health part of our organization that we're looking for, seeking great, caring people to come be a part of our team.
Yes, and you did mention early on that you're one of the largest providers of mental health care in southeastern Wisconsin, and it's my understanding you also need drivers and food service workers, no weekends or evening hours, so that is definitely getting somebody's attention. These are entry-level positions which provide room for advancement, and one of your employees actually started out washing dishes there at age 17, and now 22 years later is a manager with 12 employees reporting to her. So just an example of the room for growth when you take on one of the positions that are open there at CFI.
Andrea, that's correct. And in my intro, I failed to mention that part of our organization. We have a huge nutrition services operation. We do operate kitchens throughout various schools within the area, as well as we have 3 of our own kitchens that we put out thousands of meals daily. Now, so with that being an integral part of our organization, there are lots of opportunities. And just like that particular story that you told, that is, and I know that particular person too, and love them to death. But we do have those opportunities within that area where I've seen that you can come in from a kitchen helper and just continue to see that upward mobility. And the leadership of that area really, really strives for internal progression. So that is absolutely true. It's an area that we are in need. You are absolutely correct. That is a benefit. There are no weekends to work for those positions, but they're great positions. Going out into the community, driving, being out to some of our community sites or with our internal site as well too. And great training that you'll receive. Actually, a lot of our individuals also through our training have received their ServSafe certificate as well too, which is something that is recognized throughout the food service and nutrition industry. So those are some of the, I think, great opportunities that we have for those that are interested in those areas.
Absolutely. And again, you can go to their website at cfihope.org to get more information on compensation, benefits, career, the work environment, all of those things that are truly important when one is looking for a job that they can grow in and be a part of for, like this young lady we were talking about, for a large part of their life, 2 decades. That's amazing.
It is. It's a beautiful story, and I love to tell her story all the time.
Yeah. Now, CFI has announced that you've been rewarded a $100,000 grant that's going to create strategies to address the impact the pandemic has had on employment within marginalized communities within Milwaukee County. So can you talk a little bit about that grant?
Love to. Actually, they placed that grant underneath my diversity and inclusion umbrella. Mm-hmm. And so it's part of our growing community social responsibility. And this grant really is focusing in on the impact that the pandemic had on marginalized communities. And we've written up the grant where we're going to focus on the impact that it has had on employment. So we focused in on 12 zip codes within Milwaukee where there's a high degree of marginalized people that reside within, and that's where we're just gearing this grant up right now, where we'll be going out into the community, seeking information. The grant is really all about for us to build partnerships and raise voices. Mm-hmm. And so by us doing that, we'll be doing a lot of partnering with organizations that are doing things within that space. So at the end, what we're hoping to come out with is to have strategies that could possibly be considered to implement that will certainly improve the situation within those marginalized communities. I'm really excited about this grant because I've got my hands all in it right now.
Yeah, that is definitely something to be excited about. And I think when we talk about all of the tragedies that came along with the pandemic, there have been some silver linings in these type of grants, which really are tapping into people and places that have sometimes been overlooked that we can look at as a positive note, right?
Oh, absolutely. And what we're trying to determine, just, to take a look at how much of an impact that the pandemic, had, on those communities. And I think once we look inwardly, and I certainly can't speak because our findings are early so far, but I think that it's probably no secret that there's been a lot of impact within those communities, in trying to deal with the pandemic. I know we've all had to deal with the pandemic, and it's thrown our lives every which way but up in some cases. But within those communities, and we know the Milwaukee story, certainly we know that the impact in some cases must just be very, very tough.
No doubt about that. And with your work as the Senior Director of Diversity and Cultural Competence, I know that you are probably aware that there are a lot of organizations and companies that are just now really realizing the importance of diversity and inclusion and actually hiring people to specifically work on those things to make sure everyone is seen and heard on the job. So talk about what sets CFI apart when it comes to the emphasis on diversity and community.
Well, first of all, Andrea, we've been on the D&I journey now going on almost 16 years now. Mm-hmm. And so, and a big part of that, our development platform has centered around cultural competence. That's why it's in my title, because we really feel that a culturally competent leadership and staff is key, first of all, from an internal standpoint for employee engagement. We really feel that it reduces turnover, and it also, I think, aids us in the recruitment of diverse talent. From an external standpoint, we're able to give culturally competent service to a very diverse client base which we serve. Now, by having a culturally competent staff, it really creates an inclusive culture, and I think that's very important. While it's important to recruit diverse people, you have to have an inclusive culture that'll keep them there. Because I define diversity as the mix, and inclusion as what is making the mix work. Mm-hmm. And so I think you have to be very, very complimentary with both of those. And I'm proud to say that, first of all, that CFI has a very diverse workforce. We actually are a majority-minority workforce. And my leader likes to say it's a privilege to lead such a diverse workforce as ours. We also are part of signing the Milwaukee Metropolitan Area Chamber pledge, where we've pledged to increase our Black and Latino management by 15% by the year 2025, and overall, both of those groups by 25%. And we're ahead of target for that. Mm-hmm. So diversity and inclusion is an integral part that's baked strategically into our organization. Everybody at CFI is required to have 2 hours of diversity experience credit throughout the year in order for them to qualify for a merit increase the following year if one is being given. So it really is very important. So that's how much importance that we put on having a culturally competent, diverse and culturally competent and inclusive workforce.
Yeah, so very important. And I think it's safe to say that when you look at the programs and services that you are offering, also the hope-centered and trauma-informed care, as well as really just being able to offer some great jobs for those who live in this community, that you really are working to change the narrative with all of the things that fall under the umbrella of the Centers for Independence. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with us as we wrap up today's conversation?
Well, Andrea, I like how you kind of ended about, the trauma-informed care and the hope-centered process that we're taking. And for myself as the leader of diversity, inclusion, and cultural competence, I've integrated both of those philosophies, not only, externally for our service, but also internally for our staff as well, too. I think in our conversation today, we talked about that everybody has gone through a lot because of the pandemic. So it's important that we also offer the same type of caring to those that want to be a part of our family. So I think that's very important, that we really certainly do we care about you. So I just want to say in conclusion, or as we end it, that, I've been with CFI now for almost 18 years, and it's because of the innovative approaches that we've taken to caring for those in the community. We're not afraid to go, think outside the box on how can we better give our services or deliver our services to the community. So I would like to say that as an organization, we continue to strive again to be that organization that lives out our values, which are understanding people, leading success, and working together.
Well, Alvin, thank you so much for your time today and just giving all of the great information. And if anyone wants more information on anything we've talked about, again, the phone number to Centers for Independence is 414-937-2020. That's 937-2020. And their website address is cfihope.org. Alvin Hill is the Senior Director of Diversity and Cultural Competence for the Centers for Independence. Thank you again for your time and continued success.
It's been my pleasure. And again, Andrea, thank you very much for having me.
That's going to do it for today's show. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. As always, thank you for listening. And until next time, please be safe, take care, and we'll talk next week. Bye-bye.